Thanks for joining us on this new compact version of Does It Resonate With You, where we take a whole show from each week and cut it into smaller and more digestible chunks so that you can listen on the go or listen to them all in a row, whatever works for you. We really want you to find your own truth while we discover and discuss ours. And while we're at it, could we encourage you to reach down and hit that subscribe button? Thanks so much. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, here we are back for the second episode of Does It Resonate With You for this week. And we're going to talk about fear, but specifically kind of fear and how it impacts how you move through your day. And mostly as it pertains, right, to sort of spiritual situations or metaphysical things. So I think we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah, jump right in because it's a funny question.
What facilitated this conversation was that I saw a post somewhere, I won't say where, but this person bought a piece of Moldavite and then proceeded to have an expensive list of repairs that needed doing. And her question was, has anyone ever bought Moldavite and then needed $10,000 of whatever kind of repairs it was, as though the Moldavite had some effect.
Was the fault.
And I was like,
time out. What does Moldavite do as a crystal? It's just so
okay. So Moldavite is actually a very high frequency crystal. Moldavite is one that is kind of famous for giving people headaches if they wear it, too big of a chunk on a necklace, or as far as its known properties.
Yeah.
Let's just see what we can find out.
Sure.
I'm sure that somebody walked, because I don't really I just work with them and I listen to what they tell me, right? Like, it is a transformation, fortune, and protection stone.
Okay. All right. So she
depending
probably
on
bought it for
who
protection.
you ask,
Right.
Yeah. And Moldavite is glass. It mostly comes from the Czech Republic.
Oh, interesting.
It's
cool.
It's dark green. It is a silica. It's silica, so glass. Honestly, it's a form of tektite though, and it came from a meteorite impact 15 million years ago.
Nice.
The thing about Moldavite is, and I'll just tell this story really quick. Very few crystals get to me like that. I didn't feel them at all, like when I first started working with them, and then I started connecting with them and I could start to feel their vibration. Now I don't really feel them as much as I hear what they have to say, but I always knew that Moldavite was pretty buzzy. I mean, it's a pretty, that's a term that we all use, buzzy. It's pretty
cool.
Vibration, it vibrates practically. I swear almost if you have Moldavite in your hand, you could just like look at it and see it vibrate. Like, it's that buzzy. But I remember this lady was in a meditation group that I was in, and she's walking around with this huge Moldavite necklace. Like, I'm telling you, the thing was like this big. It was huge. And every week she's wearing this necklace, and every week she's constantly complaining that she's got a headache, like constantly. And I'm like, one day, because I, never really sat close to her. One day I looked and I was like, that Moldavite around your neck? And she said, yeah. I said, what genius put a piece of Moldavite that size in a necklace? She said, I got it, blah, 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 wherever. And I was like, listen, you need to take that off and then tell me next week whether or not your headache went away. And sure enough, her headache went away. So I don't really believe that crystals can have an effect on necessarily your surroundings, but when to me, having it around your neck like that and it gives you a headache is similar to like when I wear metal, my skin breaks out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very sensitive to metal. Like even gold gives me trouble, but
Well,
anything
lucky
with
you, huh?
nickel in it, forget it. I break out like crazy.
Huh.
Yeah. So this is actually titanium though, and it doesn't seem to bother
That
me.
one's okay.
Yeah. Titanium
Hey, you know what?
coated and
I got a headache story if I can drop this in real quick.
yeah.
When I lived overseas, um, I was complaining about headaches all the time, and so this is in Asia, and while I was complaining about headaches, my mother-in-law was visiting, and she said, um, where is your bed in your bedroom?" And I said, "I don't know. It's up against the wall." She says, "Let me look." And there's this beam across the ceiling right above my bed, and she goes, "Move your bed." So I said, "That's insane, but I'm going to listen." And wouldn't you know it, the headaches went away. She said, "It's basic feng shui."
Isn't that interesting?
It was
That's your
really interesting.
mother-in-law.
Yes,
Because do I remember correctly that your wife is not very woo-woo?
correct,
That's interesting.
correct.
That is interesting. I mean, it's not a shot in any way, shape, or form, but isn't that
No, but
interesting?
there's some things that were just kind of commonly accepted there as, feng shui. And I know you use the word feng shui to mean it's like all feng shui to me,
Feng shui is
but
complicated to me, but
right.
but
But
that
that
doesn't
little
mean I
thing,
don't believe it. That
right.
does not mean I don't believe it.
No, no, I agree. I agree. That
Like
little thing though, that was one of the little pieces of the journey where I'm like, I'm willing to listen to that.
so okay, so as it pertains to what we're talking about, because I think this is a good opportunity here,
Yeah.
actually. Um, is that one of the things that helps someone like you get over your fear of the unknown? Even though you weren't afraid to move your bed, I mean, that would be ridiculous. But you move the bed, you obviously, on some level, recognize that that's in some way energetic in nature, right? Because what else can
Correct.
it be?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Whether it's geographic, north, south, east, west, or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. On some level you recognize that it's energetic, which means it is something you can't see, right? So does
Right.
that help you in the long run begin to unwind that? And if it's not fear, which it's not always fear, but it's all, it can be skepticism as well. Is that the kind of thing that helps you unwind that? So trying something as simple as that, could it be something somebody could do and go, oh, that did shift things a little bit?
Mm-hmm. I think it was one of the stepping stones along the way, and I really didn't recognize it as one of the stepping stones until I was actually much further along on my journey,
Sure.
and then looking back and realizing, oh
Right.
yeah, there were little pieces throughout my life that were
Yeah.
kind of like little woo woo. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Pop up.
mean, the story I was telling about the energetic boundaries in the
Yeah.
last episode, it's the same thing. I had no idea that's what they were, energetic
Right.
boundaries, but that's absolutely what they were. So, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because if we could get beyond that fear, like first and foremost, Moldavite is a rock, right?
Right.
So as it pertains to the initial conversation, it's a rock. It doesn't have the power to it doesn't have the power to knock down your house, right? Like it's a rock.
Yep.
Now, how can I say that when I also can sit here and say that a person can get a headache from it? It's a vibration. It does have
Yeah.
a vibration. Everything has a vibration. I mean, the table I'm sitting at, your cell phone, everything has vibration. Sometimes the vibration is disagreeable, much like the metal that I was talking about, right? Like, but if you can accept those things, right, and release the idea, you know, I mean, and the things about crystals. Oh my God, I dropped my crystal and it broke. What am I going to do? You're going to
Right. It doesn't.
celebrate the fact that now you have two,
It
right?
doesn't
Like,
work anymore.
or you know, and I've read things in that group that are like, oh well, you know, because actually my Moldavite did go on a walkabout. I have no idea where it went. It's gone.
Hmm.
Yeah, it disappeared. And they are famous for that, actually. So
Really?
kind of interesting that I'm going to sit here and say that it doesn't have the power to make you need work on your car or your house or whatever it was. And yet I'm also going to tell you on the other side of the conversation that yeah, mine did disappear.
Hmm.
Just left. Like it was there and then it wasn't. And I, you know, it was not in my space in a place where you know, other people had access to it.
Sure.
Very much like my phenacite and my azestulite. I had little pieces of phenacite and azestulite, and they just completely demanifested themselves as well. So, and I mean, I looked everywhere. Like I tore everything apart, and just gone.
Hmm.
So you do hear stories about that with crystals. Lots of people have stories about that with crystals. So then, how can I sit here and say that you shouldn't be afraid of them? Because they disappeared, right? And not
Right.
like they showed up in my house and tried to create chaos. They left. They
Yeah.
disappeared. They made me a little cuckoo for a while because they were expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's a really interesting question, though. Why is
isn't
that
it?
possible, but that not? Right?
Right? And I just because I believe that disappearing, and some people have said that they disappear when they've done their job for you. Sorry, I don't. I mean, maybe that is true. I don't know, but I'm not. But I'm not going along with that one because, like I said, they were expensive. So if
Right.
you
Well,
think you
it
can
sounds
just,
like the plumber, right?
yeah, right,
They're
if
expensive and they disappear when they've done their job.
yeah, right. um, but I concretely see that as two very different things.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I can understand looking at it and saying, wait a minute, how can that be true and that not be true? Well, that them disappearing does not have any kind of an impact on my life except for it irritates me. But in reality, like we were talking about, how am I right now? I'm fine.
Yep.
How am I in a minute? I'm fine. Like, right?
Yep.
But if I find out that I need $10,000 work on my car, and I say, "How am I right now?" Although I'm fine, I'm not fine. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Well, now
you know, I
there's a
mean,
future. There's a
right in this very moment, I'm fine, but there's there's a future aspect to it. So I think that them disappearing is not really a negative impact, but them having an impact on your vehicle or your home that creates a $10,000 liability is a negative impact. And I don't believe that
the
crystals
crystal
are
does
here for
that.
that. Right?
I would, yeah,
Very,
I see what you're
does that
saying.
make sense?
Right. Right. You can't blame your crystals for a bad day.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Well, I think I had something written down about something like that, but I don't know. I need to stop with these books because I never know where anything is. But that is the point. So, you know, I
Well,
mean,
I remember reading somewhere. This was I think it was in a Reiki forum, but someone said, "Yeah, I did Reiki on this guy, and he said that it hurt him." Blah 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 blah. Right, and basically everyone on the forum was saying he is mistaken. Reiki does not hurt.
yeah, right.
So
Well,
the same way
okay,
that crystals,
that's an interesting conversation. So, because if you look into the number of people who have spiritual businesses that are creating limited liability corporations, LLCs,
Mhm.
the reason they are doing that is because they think it protects them. They're incorrect. It doesn't protect them from what they think it protects them from.
Right.
At all, like even a little bit. But when I asked somebody, I said, for what? What do you need protection from? Well, I had a guy once tell me that I messed up his energy. I said, really? I said, okay, you messed up his energy. Tell him to take that to the judge.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so there is that. Now, here is something I am going to say about that. When I set the intention to do my work, when I teach my students how to do the work, when I teach the people that my clients that I work with, it is this. I am surrounded and filled with the light, creating a safe and sacred container from which to do my work. Within this container, I invite my guides, teachers, and angels appropriate to the work I'm about to do, and I ask that all work be done in a way that is comfortable and appropriate for all concerned. Thank you. And maybe there's more, maybe there's not, depends on the situation. But there's two very key words in that statement: comfortable and appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with that said, one time I was in a share, and there was a girl who does, what is that called? Craniosacral.
Oh,
craniosacral.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and she did that. She somehow, we wound up on the table. I wound up on the table with her, and my friend wound up on the table with her. And when we were finished, we were both shot. Like
depleted?
Like could not function shot. My friend had to drive like an hour away. I went home and went to bed. Like I went home and went to sleep in the middle of the afternoon because I was just absolutely drained.
Huh.
And I was like, yeah, this is not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah, weird.
And when I said to her, you know, when I ran across her again, meanwhile, I never let her touch me again, to be honest. But if I said to her, you know, if the work that you do has the power to be that energetic and create that kind of a state for two very energetic people, by the way, you know, like my friend and nor I, novices, neither one of us, right? Like this is not somebody. So if your work has the power to do that, you need to say that up front and let me choose. Well, how would I know if that's going to happen?
Oh, interesting.
Right. And so now I'm really picky about who I'll let put their hands on me, but I understand much better now. Like that was back in the beginning. I understand much better now how to create my own boundaries.
Yeah.
So that can't happen to me. So in other words, any work that you do on me, my intention of comfortable and appropriate is always there. So that is a boundary that I've created, right? Like you're not going to put me. So when this guy said she hurt him,
yeah,
I would want to know what his definition of hurt actually is. Because if he had some big trauma to release, or he had some big stored anxiety that needed healing and release, and she went in and she loosened it up and made him miserable for a couple of days, that hurts him.
Okay.
If she didn't set the intention, right, for it to be comfortable and appropriate
to what he's saying.
There could be. Now, did she do him irreparable harm? No, I don't believe that for a minute. Correct. No. Does Reiki itself hurt? No. Right? The energy doesn't hurt.
Can it release something that?
Can it? You got it right there. You hit the nail on the head right there. So what does that tell you? What do you need to fear when it comes to this kind of work?
Lacking boundaries.
And it's no different than getting your taxes done, to be honest with you. Let me tell you what the most dangerous tax preparer is. The one that tells you they know everything. They don't. They can't. Nobody does.
Yep.
They just don't.
Yep.
Right? So how do you pick? I can't answer that question. I mean, you can listen to me speak and you can either decide that I'm too much of a truth teller and you don't want to be anywhere near me. I'm all right with that. Or you can say, wow, she really knows what she's talking about. And that's what I typically hear. She really knows what she's talking about. I would like to work with her, right? Like maybe she can help me. What's interesting is even the people who carry trauma, they don't tend to come to me because it's not my jam. So if you, as a practitioner, and that's what these people are all trying to be, right, that are in these groups, whether they want to practice on other people or they're just trying to be crystal practitioners, read cards for themselves, whatever it might be. If you begin to understand the energetic boundaries, not only can it have an impact on the things that you need to be afraid of, which is very little. I mean, you need to be afraid of getting hit by a bus, right? Like,
look both ways,
right? But like afraid of a ghost, really? Why? I don't understand. I do not understand that at all. Like sometimes they annoy me, but I tell them to go and they gotta go, right? Like,
So you don't want to be. You don't have to fear a crystal,
right? You don't have to fear them unless you step on one of them pointy ones. That is not so great.
This guy right here could be really sharp.
Yeah, it could hurt you, right? Like that could hurt. So, or if you combine them in a way that it sends you to another planet, which I've got to
find a way to get back.
Yeah, I have been known to do that from time to time. But anyway, so if you begin to understand your own energetic boundaries, right? Then no matter who you work with, you will have boundaries in place that will keep those things from happening to you, I think. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
like,
I think the boundaries are part of it. And I think the knowledge that the spiritual, the soul work does no harm.
Truth. And I guess you have to look at, there are very many different kind of people in the world, right? Like you could be a psychic and you could walk up to me and you could say, I sense that you are troubled about something. I'm going to look at you and tell you, no, you don't, because I have not given you permission to look into my energy, period. However, and I could do this, I would never. You really, I can see that you're troubled about something. There's something going on. And honestly, it feels to me like there's a past life issue, maybe some kind of a contract, maybe a soul contract that has you repeating things over and over and over again. And you may find yourself really on a hamster wheel, overthinking things, or maybe you find yourself worrying. And I'm telling you that you have this soul contract present. And until you clear that, this is never going to change. Now, for $4,000, I can very easily clear that for you. And I will give you this candle to light. And then I will give
you an additional $300.
This candle, $300. It was $5.99 at Trader Joe's. And this crystal, and what I want you to do is I want you to take this crystal and I want you to bury it in the ground. Now, I would never ask anybody to do that, but bury it in the ground. And then I want you to light this candle and keep it lit for 9 days. If the candle goes out, you'll need to come back to me. And for another $300, I'll give you another candle. That is the problem in the world right now, because there are people that would buy that in a New York minute.
Yep. Right? So there's the scammers that are pushing that, and there's the gullible people that are buying it.
Right. And it's, why do those people who call up and tell you, oh, the IRS money, keep doing it? Because people pay them. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it's big business.
The scammers, yes.
It's big business. Like they have big call centers and You know, like I like
Unreal,
to
isn't
watch
it?
those videos where they, whatever. Anyway, I guess already we're
We're
over
done.
time again.
But
It's all good.
there is the little wrap up of the conversation.
Yep, there you go. By the way, I'd like to point out to everybody, John's got a great new background. I love the fuchsia, and I love the I love the frame around. Does it resonate with you? But
Got some new equipment over here. So.
yeah, I got some new equipment, I think, and actually, you don't phase in and out as much as you do. So that's awesome.
Up the game over here a little bit.
Well, there you go. That is my house. Okay, so there's the answer to that. One of these days soon, I'm going to be switching, so there'll be a wall behind me that'll be a little bit different. You guys will get to see a little bit more of my collection that way.
Nice.
Anyway, so that's it for this episode. I don't know. I hope we helped you realize something for yourself. I mean, that's the point of us doing the show. We love to do the show. We would love it very much if you'd reach down and hit that subscribe button. That'd be fantastic. And, if you have any ideas of things you'd like us to talk about, drop it in the comments and let us know. Yep. That'd be great. All right. So listen, one more episode for this week. It is tarot time. Right. We will see you shortly.